What's getting in the way of what you want from this business? Which is actually a pretty hard question to answer because first you've got to know what you actually want from the business.
When you ask people what it is that they want from the business, so many people actually haven't stepped back and thought, why am I doing this?
Most business owners, when we ask them that, they want more money or more profit for the effort that they're putting in.
Well, it's all great to do more, but does it mean that it's right? And when is enough?
We're all in business for different reasons, but being able to identify exactly what that is very important. And this is a question that Phil and I are not afraid to pose to business owners all over the country, mate.
Always the tough questions. And I'm sitting here pondering myself, mate, why the hell am I doing this? But apparently people are still tuning in, leaving great comments, so we carry on. But I think it's when you pose the tough questions to business owners or prospective business owners, or anyone for that matter, that they haven't contemplated before, it's really that you've hit something when they got to sit there and just go, oh, and then their first immediate response after they've had that initial smack is, oh, that's a really good question, Luke. Oh, I hadn't considered that, Phil. And then you kind of like, yeah, gotcha. Now we're starting to get to the meat on the bone and unpacking what it truly is the crux of the issue that we're trying to unpack and solve.
So we've got a question that we want all of you to ask yourself and sit with this question for a bit and try and answer it, because this is exactly what the business owner had to do on a paid consult this week. And I tried to sit there myself and just go, I'm not going to intervene. I'm going to let this business owner tell me what it is that they think it is. So the question for them was, what's getting in the way of what you want from this business? And I think they first were thinking, I need a bit of time to think what he even just asked me, and then for the answer. So the question again, what's getting in the way of what you want from this business? Which is actually a pretty hard question to answer because first you've got to know what you actually want from the business. However, to be fair to this person, I had been asking them prior, what do you want? And let's summarize, most business owners, when we ask them that, they want more money or more profit for the effort that they're putting in.
Yep.
Or they don't want to be blasting themselves 60 hours a week doing heaps of different tasks that they didn't really get into business for. And they say things like, I want to be able to take some time off. I want to be able to enjoy more balance of my business. But this client sat here in silence and said exactly what you said. Shit, that's a really good question. And then they paused again, and eventually they gave me their answer, which I will get back to. But a very challenging question for a lot of people to think about.
It is, and I think it's great that you highlighted the fact that it's a two-parter in terms of like what's getting in the way and what do you want, and the what you want piece is really the first part. And when you ask people what it is that they want from the business, so many people actually haven't stepped back and thought, why am I doing this and what I want? Because once you start and get some momentum and traction, and certainly in some industries and in a frothy economy, as we've seen in the past, it's pretty easy to bolt on more people. Let's keep on doing more of the same. Oh, things are going well. We'll go and get a bigger lease. We'll just do more. We'll do more. We'll do more. And it's like, well, it's all great to do more, but does it mean that it's right? And when is enough? And one thing that I was thinking about was another question that's come up in recent times that kind of ties in with that, what do you want, is that question of asking people, well, in terms of what you want, how much money do you need to be able to deliver what it is that you want? And I think so many people haven't thought, oh, gee, I want my life to look like this, and therefore to have a life that looks like this, I need to have $100,000 a year after tax, just cash, or $200,000 or $300,000 or whatever the number is. And then once we're clear on what that bucket of cash is, that then can be applied to putting gas in the car and going and doing your groceries and going out for the steak restaurant and then going over to Sydney or going on the cruise or whatever it is that you want to do, we can then go, okay, is this business in a stage and a state that we can squeeze it to get that level of cash out of it? That's where the accountant comes in. But I think so many people haven't thought about what that number is, and they just keep blindly having the foot to the floor. I guess there's nothing wrong with that. They're just going, right, I can just do more and more. And then on the other side, everything just keeps scaling up. And it got me thinking, And I put it this way of going, well, what are the demands that you're putting on the business in terms of what do you want out of it? And I think once we're clear on what the demand is on the demand side of what you're putting on the business, that will determine the supply that you need to give it. And I think so many people are just going, well, I'm quite happy to squeeze out of the business, but at the same time, I don't want to give it as much. Because so many people are just like, oh, yeah, I want to earn. And in the buying of business calls that I have with people, everyone's looking for the unicorn. I want the self-managed business that's going to spit out $500,000 a year and I can just sit in Fiji and sip cocktails. And I'm like, yeah, you and every other motherfucker out there. And I mean, I'm not saying that you can't get there, but like the reality is for most SME businesses, small and medium businesses in the country, to get to that stage is hard and it requires effort. And once you start seeing the reward for that effort, it just naturally triggers the brain to go, let's just keep doing more.
Yeah, society almost pushes us too as well, like more. And what's been really interesting when we do the winning formula with clients who work with us over a 12-month window, we do a half-day business planning session, we catch back up with them quarterly, hold them accountable, and they have incredible results throughout that process typically. They really do like doing the bottom-up analysis, which is basically what you're saying before of, let's be real, how much cash do we want out of this business? Okay, let's factor in tax as well, because all good and well to have a profit, but you've got to pay tax on that. So how much cash do you actually want? And then work backwards and go, well, these are our overheads. This is what we sell. How many of those things that we do would we need to sell? Oh, shit, the math doesn't math. Or, oh, that's actually more achievable than we realize. Okay, if it's that many, break it down to 12 months. Okay, what do we need to do in terms of sales activity to get each of those for each of the 12 months? And all of a sudden, the business owner can work backwards and go, oh, that's actually what I need to do in order to drop that profit, which gives me that tax bill. I pay my tax and then I have that left over. That's living, baby. What I saw with this client is that it's this double-ended frustration that we often see where people say to us, I want more profit, but I want to work less. And it can be done, but usually the answer is, okay, well, you're going to need to put your prices up or do higher value work. But the reason that they don't have a lot of profit at the moment is because they are working a lot, but they're working a lot on the wrong things, which then has no margin, and then their profit is low. So traditional teaching would be the harder you work, the more you'll make. But it doesn't actually work like that in business. That's all good and well when you go do a factory job and get paid by the hour, or where you do have your metrics and your numbers right. But if your numbers are stuffed, you can work even more and potentially make less, because all that happens is you bolt on more admin, more travel, more unrecoverable stuff. Made a mistake at that one. Have to go back on my Saturday to do it.
Low value stuff.
Yeah, did extra hours on Saturday, but didn't really make the money. Got to go home. Got to do the admin. Oh, got to respond to this inquiry. So people told me work more, work harder. But where's my cash? And this is the exact position that they were in. I want to work less and I want to make more. But to them, they're going, well, aren't I doing everything I'm supposed to do to make more money? I'm working 6 to sometimes 7 days. I'm looking at their P&L going, brother, we need to fix this real quick, man. Because your crossroads are go get a job or fix it. And that's the journey they're going to have to go on.
The other flip side, coming back to the bottom-up analysis, which launched into this, was it still surprises me when we sit down with clients and work through those numbers and go, right, bottom up, actually how close some of them already are.
Yeah.
Or they're actually already there. And it made me thought, okay, you just need to refine. And that's those bits that you're talking about in terms of going, right, let's really identify these low value tasks. Or no, actually, if you cut these customers that are spending $50 or $100 every month, that's then going to free up all of this other time that you can then go out and find one really good super duper customer. You're still in the same position dealing with fewer people. I think it comes back to the ultimate thing of giving yourself the permission. And giving yourself the permission is going to come from understanding your numbers. And it still, and I don't know why, but it still surprises me the gap between a working owner in a business that's doing some really good stuff and just the lack of education on the numbers. When you say, you know, how much you're turning over, most people can say that, what's your gross profit? And that's where you and ah. And then when you go, right, well, what's your profit? And do you know how much tax you're paying? Well, nah, you're getting way out of the comfort zone. So it's revenue and they know how much money's in the bank. That's it. Business owners are simple creatures overall from a finance point of view. And I think if we can get to that next layer of the onion and go, right, let's actually start and give you a bit of insight and some lessons around how these numbers play together, particularly with gross profit, you can end up getting what you were talking about. We can do more, but for less.
Well, speaking of knowing your numbers, we've been a little bit slack, and I did write this down at the office earlier in the week that I think we're due to do a Know Your Numbers workshop online.
Ooh, spicy.
But also on the 16th of July, if people do want to come and understand their numbers better, that is one of the foundational pillars that we will be talking about on our planning day from 9 till 5, and then we're off to dinner afterwards. So if you want details on that, then feel free to get in touch because we do have about 12 spaces open.
Mate, that's a great shameless plug there for what we're offering to business owners. And the interest in it has been outstanding. I'm looking forward to it. Be a great day.
Even with us, like we do the same exercise where we go bottom up, and what you're talking about before is, okay, maybe you're closer than you realize. This is exactly basically us, right? Where we go, right. And our takeaway from it was, okay, we're either thinking too small, so let's push a bit more, which we naturally, you and I go, okay, let's do that. Start yesterday. But also then we go, okay, well, let's then be even more deliberate about what we say yes to, and in fact trust the process that the right thing will come. This is a goal over 12 months. We don't need to achieve it in 30 days. If the wrong inquiry comes in the next 30 days, don't say yes. Trust that in the next 11 months it will come. And it's basically the opposite of what this poor old business owner is facing here, where they are going, well, I'm saying yes to everything because I'm not making enough money, so why would I say no to shit? I'm like, no, that's why you're not making enough money, because you're saying yes to everything.
I love trust the process, and I love it because when it works, it's a beautiful thing. And I think we can talk about it and say to a lot of other business owners out there, just trust the process. The problem is, a lot of the business owners we're talking to, you don't have a process. So you've got nothing to fucking trust.
Yeah.
So I think we've got to come back to, let's just get some of that foundational stuff right that will give you, and this is some of the other comments that I've written down around this topic, was once you've got the process that you can then trust, it's going to give you confidence. And once you've got confidence that this thing is just has got momentum and it's going to keep spinning, yes, there's going to be moments of just like, oh shit, I don't know what's around the corner, but trust the process because you've put the work in. It's like the gym and constantly doing the reps. I think when it comes to working on the business, and that's what we're talking about here, you trust the process because you've been doing the work to work on the business that's going to keep the momentum up, that you can go, yeah, I've now got the confidence to make those decisions. And that's, I mean, I like to use us, these podcasts that we've been doing for however long now. As a business owner, it still astounds me every single time that in the background, we've got all of these ads working. We've got a great team behind the scenes that are doing some cool stuff. It's required consistency from us week in, week out to produce the content on the back of having some great conversations and doing some great work with clients that we then turn into ads and then ding, Calendly, booking in, ding, Calendly, ding, Calendly, ding, ding, ding. And the dingings just don't frickin' stop. And I'm looking at my phone or the emails on the weekend when I've got the computer open, and it's just like Calendly, so-and-so. And I think I've talked about it on the podcast before. It still blows me away to this day of like, ding, when it comes through Calendly, one, who it is, two, what they're booking for, and what's the time of day that they're booking in. You know, I wake up in the morning, check the emails. It's like somebody's booked in. It's just like, what were they doing between when I turned my phone off to me waking up in the morning that they thought they would book a time to have a chat with an accountant?
Probably got served another punishing ad from Next Advisory.
Probably.
But again, you know, we just weaved in organically the fact that we're doing our planning day on the 16th of July, right? We still have to market that. There is a process for our marketing. We have to go out and tell people about the things that we're doing. It's no different for any other business. But I reckon there's a direct, I'll say this better, there is a direct correlation between the businesses that tell us that they rely on word of mouth for their marketing and the people who also say that they're frustrated they're not making more money. And again, they've been taught that's the best form of marketing, but 95% of them that tell us that, we're like, oh, well, that's why you're not making enough, because you're not actually, you don't have a process, like you say. If your process is wait for someone to tell someone else about you, then it's a pretty basic process. Like, shouldn't you try and scale that up a bit? And that's all that word of mouth becomes when you start doing more advertising or, whatever it is you're doing, leaflet drop, Facebook ads, is people are going to see it and then you're going to do good work for them. They're going to tell other people, and then word of mouth will be a part of that. Just as we've had inquiry this week where we haven't had to spend an ad for it, it's word of mouth from other people.
Yep.
But again, it means a process. But also, you have to understand the bottom-up analysis and the numbers before scaling up the process. Because if the process leads to more shit work, then you're still in trouble.
I love that greatest line that you roll. It probably comes up more often. Well, it does come up in the longer form, but definitely the shorter form stuff that you do around that scaling piece. And it's going like, it's all well and good, but you're just going to keep scaling the same problems. And I think people just think that the business is running okay and we just need to do more of whatever the stuff is. But it's just like, hang on, what we're doing over here is broken. If we continue to do it this way, you're just creating more stress, more problems. And ultimately, at the end of the day, you're going to break. So let's actually unpack this, get the foundation right, and scale something that's going to be sustainable into the future.
Now, for the big reveal from this client, I really did admire the fact that they could identify what the barrier was. So reminder of the question is, what's getting in the way of what you want from this business? And then they said, that's a good question. And then we had some more pause. And then they said, myself. Yeah, probably just myself, to be honest. Now, that's where it would be very easy to be like, great stuff, correct answer. I'm like, okay, tell me more about that. And this is where shit got a little bit interesting, and where I think that a lot of us, you've got to be vulnerable to then share what this is with somebody else. And so maybe do this exercise with yourself before you go deeper. But for them, like a big part of it wasn't just, I'm not doing the things that I need to do. There was a big element of the fear of failure, the fear of what other people were going to think, the fear of rejection, but fear keep coming into it. And I thought, what do we often talk about on the pod of why people aren't doing what they need to do? Because they're scared of something.
Mate, we hadn't even spoken about the answer other than like in the office you'd said, and I mean, pretty easy from what the work that we do, that it's the person's getting in the way, but it's like it's getting in the way because of, and I've put here, judgment and other people.
Yeah, exactly what it was.
And it still fascinates. I mean, it shouldn't, but it just the fact that we've got this far and we've been doing this content and working with business owners now for so long that there's still that, what's other people going to think? And like we've got to the stage now that we're doing this, and I don't even think about what other people, think. It's just it's out there. People either like it and they're going to consume it, or they're not going to like it and they're going to leave some comments. But it's just like ignore the haters and carry on.
We had a client drop a message the other day about how they have gone from earning $60,000 a year in 2023, and they have 10x their income since. They've been consuming the content. They've done some work with us, and just about every comment was like, "That is amazing, epic." And someone's like, "You're full of shit." Like, well, this is a screenshot. I'll tell you what, I'm not very, very fucking good in Canva, and I don't know how to use Photoshop. Yeah, I didn't use AI to create it, but whatever, mate. Like, you believe that. So even whatever you do, people will tell you that you're full of shit. And that is a complete outlier type situation, but it's genuine and it's their message and we're just resharing it. And most people are going, that's amazing, because they have enough trust that if we're talking about it, okay, we're not going to just make shit up and put it on our social media, but one dickhead still has to be like, you're full of shit.
You know what, mate? It's that one fuckwit that has left that comment that puts a business owner like this and gives them that mindset that is holding them back. And that really grinds my gears, because there's somebody here that's wanting to get ahead and unlock some capability that is ultimately going to have some confidence to then go and hire somebody, hopefully not that fuckwit, but then will then go, right, I'm doing really well, so I'll go and hire another person, and that leads to GDP growth. Yeah. We all win. But people are being held back because of fear of judgment, because of some fuckwit in the comment section.
Oh, the boys are fired up now. We love it.
Oh, that's the reality of it, because the amount of conversations that we've had with business owners around, we'll do this, and it's just like, but I don't like sending emails, and what about all the unsubscribe rates, and oh, what if somebody doesn't like this? And oh, what about the time of day? It's just like, quit it with the excuses, quit it with whoever's worried about things. Do you think that in New Zealand, despite all the challenges that they're facing at the moment, are going to be worried about, oh, what's blooming Karen going to be thinking when we send this email to her at 3 p.m. on a Friday when she's trying to sit down and have a cup of tea and a scone?
Yeah, with the size of their customer base, they will always cop flack as well.
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it is sad. Andy, who came on the pod, he's a good lad. He does a lot of flooring work, and he's designed a mop for people, right? And he sent a screenshot with one of his pieces of content talking about his mop. People are like, chill out, bro, it's just a mop. And one of the other business owners that saw it was like, oh, you could use it to clean up your attitude, which obviously we really like. But if you, the business owner, comment back to that person and say that, like, I think that's funny, I'm all for it. But then, other people are like, oh, that's a bad look for your business. You shouldn't be doing that. And what fucks me off is that business owners have to put themselves out there, do this shit, and then we still have to like roll over and just take it because you're the content creator, you're the business owner, you should know better or whatever. I think, why is it okay for these dickheads to come and leave these bullshit comments? And if we, jokingly bark back at them or have a bit of fun, then you still lose. So I think it just highlights again, the business owner, someone will again have an opinion of why you should or shouldn't be doing what you're doing. So very simply, I just went back to this F-word and just put the old shh emoji.
Oh,
because I thought that'll really wind someone up.
Yeah, zip it.
Yeah. But yeah, fear of family. Why I was reminded of this too, mate, is that there was a situation a little while ago where, interestingly, someone had it wasn't a Ford Ranger, but I've got a Ford Ranger in the back here, if you can hear that on the old microphone. We've got some Ford Rangers on the screen.
Great Ford Ranger, mate.
But they had a balance sheet that had too many assets on it, and the transactional accountant to me is like, oh, you need to sell that. You can't really afford that. It's nearly paid off in terms of debt. Flip that back to cash, clear down some debt, buy a cheaper vehicle. Accountant got that right, but psychology of money, what will people think?
Yeah, ego.
When they see me driving around in a different vehicle, they're going to think, not doing as well. Oh, I'm like, oh, fuck. I hadn't even factored that in. I'm like, sorry, mate, you don't get to think like that. You're just going to have to sell it or accept that it's going to take even longer. And to this client's credit, they came back at week 6 and they're like, sold it. I'm like, wow, what a legend. I thought they were going to say, nah, I've found another reason not to. And they could see it and they're like, oh yeah, I'm just going to have to swallow my pride. I said, you can get that vehicle back.
Yes.
You're just not in the season to have that vehicle yet.
Yeah.
So let's tidy the balance sheet up and protect our cash flow, redeploy the cash flow, and then in, say, 18 months' time, you could probably go get an even nicer vehicle. But just about guarantee you in 18 months' time, when you go to think about buying that vehicle again, when you're back in the position to do it, you're going to go, nah, I don't even want it anymore. Or, nah, I'd like something even bigger, so I might delay gratification and wait because actually the vehicle that I've been using for the last 18 months has been fine.
Vehicles are one of those fascinating decisions, isn't it? That we're prepared to invest minimal cash to go and get the vehicle, to go and borrow the money from some finance company or bank, and the cash that we're willing to part ways with on the vehicle might be a few tens of thousands of dollars by way of deposit, maybe, or you might be financing the whole thing. But when it comes to actually making a decision to invest in yourself, invest in the business, to solve some of the stuff we're talking about, no.
Someone said to me the other day, do you think that's because it's tangible versus intangible or like non-touchable? And I thought, I hadn't thought about it from that angle. That's a good point, eh?
Yeah, I reckon. And that's where, like, when we've spoken about on the pod before, trying to encourage business owners to think about their business as an asset, as a tangible asset. And it's really hard to comprehend. I don't know why. And it's like that, I liken it maybe to the pen, right, that I got. People refer to LinkedIn. If you haven't seen it, great pen. But every time I make a point of getting that out and put it on my desk every single day. And I pick it up and I hold it every single day.
Man.
And to me, it's a psychological reminder to be going, yeah, wow, appreciate this. And I've got this because of a whole heap of stuff that we've done.
Yeah.
And we've achieved the target. And I'm just like, fuck, this is good. What do I need to do now to get another one?
Yeah, nice.
And so it's something tangible that's come out of the business. And I think business owners need to do that, of going, right, what's something tangible that they can correlate to the business that's then going to go, this is an asset that I'm building up. It's got value. I need to do everything I possibly can to protect its value and then equally increase its value.
Yeah, we'll go into debt for things that make our ego look a bit bigger than what it potentially is. And most businesses have a form of finance with vehicles on their balance sheet. I'm not saying like don't do it at all, but yeah, it's funny how quickly we'll accept that as a very logical decision to do. But if we say to a client, hey, invest some money into the asset of your business being marketing, developing yourself, getting some time back, even paying for a cleaner at home so you can free up those hours and work on the business or whatever. It's like, I can't touch that, mate. I can't touch it.
Yeah. Or it's that ego stuff at the expense of just going, oh, gee, I'll get some quick asset finance that, we've talked about or that we see on some balance sheets that we don't want to be saying about on the podcast for fear of somebody watching. Or we're leveraging the Bank of IRD. Like, get the house in order. And that's where we talk about, hey, if we want to get this business squeezing out more profit, squeezing out more cash flow, giving it what you want. Once you've got clarity about what you want, and I think it comes back to that foundation of actually let's make sure the business is right. If you can't pay your tax on time for starters, let's fix that because we're way off from getting the business to a stage to delivering to you what you actually want it to if we can't even pay tax on time, because that's business 101. Part of that is going to be if you've got a Ranger at 120,000 as like a brand new Raptor, I think that's what they go for, maybe. Sure as shit, that thing's got to be binned. Let's free up some cash flow from some debt repayments and actually be a responsible business. Like, I'm all for minimizing tax. Don't get me wrong. We will minimize the shit out of tax where we possibly can, but where you do have an obligation to pay tax, we pay it on time. Yeah,
and the two rebuttals that we get is, oh, well, I can't because it's not worth what it used to be worth. So what you brought in, you think the fucking Ranger's going to hold its value? Are you well? Like, do you not learn anything about it? Yeah. What do you think when I brought my hairdresser's Mercedes car, I drove it off, I was like, this will be great. This will hold its value. Like, how is that an argument? Oh, it's gone down in value. No shit. Like, and you also claim the depreciation, which saved you tax on it. Of course it's gone down in value. But then secondly, well, no, I can't because I'll have an early repayment of my debt on the vehicle. Oh, I don't know, negotiate that or something? Or let's just solve the problem here. You're bleeding cash flow. We need to fix it.
The other thing that this is just reminding me, but this is turning out to be an absolute gem on that what you want piece, is I spoke earlier before around the financial bit of what a business can deliver to you. I think the other piece is the non-financial and the bandwidth. And it's not until you kind of step back and you just take an appreciation for like, shit, I've built something, it's clunky and it's broken, and you go, no wonder I'm stressed.
Yeah.
No wonder I'm feeling like this. Let's actually unpack this, get rid of the ego shit, get the foundations right, focus on the stuff that we should be doing, let's do it well. Let's not scale problems, let's scale solutions and stuff that we do right. And then all of a sudden, we turn out from the jungle drums of a blimmin' bush track into a freaking super fast highway.
Yeah, exactly. And this is part of the saying the no piece as well, because if you're scaling the wrong stuff, you're already stressed. Stop saying yes to it. And we often say to clients, if you had 10 more of your ideal client, would you say no to that opportunity that's sitting in front of you? Yes, you would say no to it. The only reason you aren't is because you haven't built the 10 ideal clients or the pipeline or the process to have the 10 coming through.
There it is, the process. You don't have the process. And that's where that confidence comes from, where you can go, I mean, even still, and I've spoken about it now, it's still, client inquiry coming in, that's exciting. And then being able to go, nah, trust the gut, nah, to then know, boom, I know that we're going to get more inquiry next week, the week after that. And it could be for, any kind of business that's tuning in and you're going, yep, actually, that's a cool business. You suit us, we suit you. Happy days.
Yeah, we've found a match, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes,
yeah.
We'd be swiping right.
Yeah. To wrap up, mate, there was a couple of things that this business owner went away to do, or what their homework was they've got to have a tough convo with their clients that they're underpricing for. Beautiful thing for this business owner, they actually had some very large clients, and I said, they are not going to want you to fail. They are business owners as well. They are going to understand when you say, I'm really sorry, I've been pricing this wrong, I've just had a slap around from my accountant. They're going to go, okay, well, we get it, or they're not. But look, you've got a number of them, even if 2 of them say no, you've still got 4. So that's good. But also, if they all say no, well, then who are they going to get to do the work? So my data is suggesting that with that number of clients that really like what you're doing and they tell each other you should use them, I'm like, it's probably because you're too cheap. And that's why they're telling each other. But you're going to have a tough combo. And then we need to free up some cash by selling this vehicle down. We're going to have to find ways to minimize some of these other costs, or we're going to have to go and take a job. And I know you don't want to take a job. No, okay, so we're going to have to lean on these things. But lastly, you cannot think for the next 12 to 18 months about what your family think, what anyone thinks, what that client's going to think when you say, actually, here's my new pricing, because otherwise in 12 months we're going to catch up and you're going to pay me money that I'm not going to want to take from you because I'm going to feel bad you're in the same position, and you're going to tell me I'm going to go get a job. I'm like, that ain't what we want. We want you to be working 5 days like a normal human and choosing if you want to do overtime, not I've got to do 6 or 7. And we don't want your partner to leave you as well. And we want you to have more money at the bank account in the bank account at the end of the month for all the hard work that you're putting in. So now it's up to you to take action.
Nice. Up to you. Oh, that's the final. I think that's the great thing to finish on. Ultimately, at the end of the day, as the business owner, it rests on your shoulders as you.
The next Advisory Profit and Planning Day is coming up on the 16th of July. If you would like to grab a ticket, drop us a line and we can invite you. We're going to be looking at your longer term plan, how you can increase your sales, how to understand cash flow in your specific business. So you're going to need to bring your laptop and your financial information along, as well as how to understand numbers in a business, including your own. Tickets are $1,500 plus GST. We're going to host you from 9 in the morning till 5. Then we'll take a short break and then we'll all go for dinner together as well. 16th of July, Auckland Central. Drop us a line and we can give you all the details.